in the fight. Come in the sky. Vapusha, by his body, prasantam, while devouring, Tritsva, seeing, Sunabha, by the Sudarshana wheel, Unmatitam, killed, Daritriya, by the earth, Amantritaha, being prayed for, Tat Tanayaya, to the son of Narakasura, Shesham, that which was taken from, Dadva, returning it, Tat, his, Antahapuram, inside the house, Avivesha, entered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Please repeat the translation. Narakasura, the son of Haritri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. Please hear the purport. It is said in other Puranas that Narakasura was the son of Daritri, the earth, by the Lord himself. But he became a demon due to the bad association of Varna, another demon. An atheist is called a demon, and it is a fact that even a person born of good parents can turn into a demon by bad association. Birth is not always the criterion of goodness. Unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. Birth is not always the criterion of goodness. Unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjanashalakya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahagavanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaure Trishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sutam Hridekam Vapusagrasantam Dritsva Sunabhon Matitam Daritriya Amantritasta Tanayaya Shesham Dadva Anta Puramavishesha. So this is a very nice verse from the chapter which is known as the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. So here Shukadeva Goswami is speaking about the pastime of the Lord when he killed the demon known as Narakasura. Narakasura is also known as Bhaumasura. So sometimes if you read Krishna book, I think it's in the 24th chapter in Krishna book. That's where Narakasura's pastime is there with the Lord. And Narakasura there is known as Bhaumasura. And towards the end or in the middle of Krishna book, at that point, Prabhupada also says he's known as Narakasura. The other point that's important is you can also find this entire chapter in chapter 59 of Krishna book. I mean of Shrimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, chapter 59. So this whole episode is given there. One thing we should note is that Narakasura was very powerful. So his mood was always to take everything by force. When we are very powerful, the tendency is we think we own everything, because we become intoxicated with the idea that whatever we have is ours, whatever others have is also ours. This is our tendency. So Narakasura was like that. He was the son of Bhumi Devi. He was born of Bhumi Devi, and Prabhupada writes in the purport that actually in Puranas it is also stated that his father is actually the Lord. Because if you read in Padma Puran, for example, or if you read in Vishnu Puran, for example, you will find actually that when the Lord came in his Varaha incarnation, right, when he came in his boar incarnation, he actually saved Bhumi Devi from the terrible clutches of the demon Hiranyaksha. He saved her also because she was actually falling into the ocean of milk, and in that way the causal ocean was going to consume her. So from the union of Bhumi Devi and Lord as the form of Varaha, we understand from the Puranas that Bhaumasura was born, or Narakasura. So Prabhupada is making an important point here. He is the son of the Lord himself. But even then, that is not a guarantee that you may be a devotee, or that he will have nice consciousness. This is a very important point. I think as devotees, when we have children, we feel it. Because we are so afraid that, yes, children are born into devotional service, but if there is no culture of association which is good, there is nothing to stop them from also becoming demoniac. If it can happen to the Lord's Son, it can happen to any one of us. So this is an important point to remember. Narakasura was so powerful that he harbored ambitions to control the earth, the lower planets, and the heavenly planets. So what he did was, in the battle with the Devatas, he defeated them. And he in fact stole a very important umbrella, which was actually for the throne of Varuna. He was the demigod in charge of water. Bhagavatam also tells us that he stole the earrings of Mother Aditi. Aditi is the mother of the Devatas, and she had very wonderful, beautiful earrings, and those earrings also he stole. He snatched it from her, and none of the Devatas could do anything when he snatched it from her. You know how painful it must be to snatch the earring from a lady, and yet he did that shamelessly. No one could stop him. Bhagavatam also told us that he went to Mount Meru, which is a very powerful mountain, very, very high mountain. And he actually took a portion of that heavenly planet, of that Mount Meru, and he took it and kept it. And that portion was known as Mani Parvata. So actually Narakasura was a great disturbance. And when he started creating havoc, in the end Lord Indra, the king of all the Devatas, he decided that I have to lodge complaint now. So what does he do? He goes to see Krishna in Dwarka. And when he told Krishna in Dwarka that Krishna, this Bhaumasura is too much, and he's just terrorizing and harassing everyone, you please stop him. There's only you are capable of stopping him. So Bhagavatam tells us then that Krishna's mood is to always protect the devotees. It's not so much to kill the demons. Killing the demons is byproduct of protecting the devotees. This is important point. Always we should remember that Krishna has our welfare at heart first. But if there are some atheistic impediments between us and devotional service, he vanquishes that. That's all he does. So his mood is always for the lookout of the devotees. This is mood of Krishna. So Krishna decided, I will go now. And he decided that he will bring one of his principal queens, Satyabhama, to go with him. Now Shastras tell us there's a reason why he also brought Satyabhama to go. Because very often Lord, when he's in the pastime of killing demons, you realize that he's actually not with any of his principal queens or consorts. He has a battle to fight, so he doesn't want to be with anyone else at that point. Maybe with the army, but very seldom with anyone. Of course, when he kidnapped Rukmini, that was different, because he was kidnapping her from, right under the nose of jackal-like kings like Sishupal and Dantavaktra and Jarasan. And at that time, even Rukmini being so powerful a princess and from a warrior family, while Krishna was shooting arrows, she was holding the chariot. So she was very powerful. Satyabhama was equally powerful. But the Shastras tell us Satyabhama was actually asked to come because Krishna knew that Bhaumasura was actually his own son. And Bhumi Devi is very dear to Krishna because Bhumi Devi is the place where all the living entities are residing. And she is so tolerant of all the living entities like you and I. So Bhumi Devi was very special to Krishna. To kill her son, she wanted permission. He wanted permission. And it's stated in Shastras that Satyabhama's expansion is Bhumi Devi. One of her expansions is Bhumi Devi. So by bringing Satyabhama, what will happen is, at the right point, Satyabhama would give consent. Lord, you please kill him now. And when he did that, when she did that, it was as good as Bhumi Devi giving consent. So you can see nothing in Bhagavatam can be unexplained. Everything in Bhagavatam, yes, has an explanation. It's only a question of whether we seek to understand it and accept it, or we seek to reject it. So when Krishna went to the fortress and he went to see the city, I think the city's name is Pragjotishapur. Pragjotishapur. It's a very powerful city and it was so well fortified. At the starting point of the ring of the city, there were 4 fortresses, Bhagavatam tells us. And these 4 fortresses were very formidable and they covered all 4 directions. If you pass the 4 fortresses, the next boundary, Bhagavatam says, there was a deep water canal, like a moat, Castles in those days had moats. That was a very deep water canal. If you pass that, then Bhagavatam tells us the whole city, inner city, was surrounded by electric wires. We think electricity is only applicable now, isn't it? But we find in Bhagavatam many references to electricity being used even in that time. So electrical wires surrounded the city. So Nakasura was very up to date. He's very advanced, in guarding what he wants. And then the last, after, if you pass somehow the electrical network, there was poisonous gas. It is known as Anila. That gas was poisonous and it was invisible. So if the enemy by some chance crossed the 4 fortresses, passed through the moat of water, passed through the electric wires somehow, doesn't get electrocuted, then he or she will have to die because of the poisonous gas. And they wouldn't even know the poisonous gas was there. That was the greatness of his fortress. And somehow if you pass all the poisonous gas, there was a network of barbed wires. Have you all ever got stuck in a barbed wire? My suggestion is don't try. It's very, very painful. In the army, part of our training is actually to get the concertina wires, which are barbed wires, and then to place them near the ditches. And 90% of the time, before the enemies can get to it, we are the ones getting all the pain, So barbed wires were very powerful. So the fortress was literally, Bhagavatam tells us, impenetrable. Cannot be penetrated. But Krishna arrived with Satyabhama on the back of the great devotee of the Lord, Garuda. So in this pastime, Krishna came with Garuda and he came with Satyabhama. The moment he came, of course he had Sudarshan Chakra and he had all his weapons with him. He saw the fortress. But Krishna, you cannot stop Krishna from entering anywhere. Because Krishna's heart is the heart of all hearts. And Bhagavatam tells us Krishna is the super soul. If Krishna is the super soul, how can we keep him out of anything? Narakasura foolishly thought that if he had so many different fortifications, Krishna won't be able to enter. But Krishna is already in the heart of Narakasura. So therefore he has already entered the city. So for Krishna, looking at the fortification, the Lord did not even blink. It was no difficulty for him. First of all, Bhagavatam says he broke all the forts. All the fortification he broke. Just how? Just by using his club, he smashed all the forts. Then Krishna, with all his power, he actually scattered away all the barbed wires, all the electrical wires. He just scattered them with Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra actually did all the work. Lord didn't have to move too much around. You find this is another potency of Krishna. Prabhupada writes actually Krishna has nothing to do. If you read the daily readings of Krishna, just a few days ago Prabhupada writes Krishna has nothing to do. That's why he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you're Supreme, then you can shake your legs all the time because everybody else is there to serve you. So Krishna did not have to work very hard. Sudarshan Chakra was very powerful. It counteracted the electrical boundary. Then there was the channeling of water and gas. Krishna made it null and void, again with Sudarshan Chakra. Then Krishna blew his conch shell. And when he blew his conch shell, Bhagavatam tells us, it broke the hearts of all the demons who were living within the city. Their hearts were completely broken. The great fighters who were coming out to fight Krishna, their hearts were broken. Meaning they realized that victory was not theirs. It was not theirs. Whatever great other machines and weapons that Narakasura had, they also shattered just by the blowing of the conch shell. So Krishna does not even need to use Sudarshan Chakra. Even his conch shell can become a weapon. It can become a weapon. Why do we blow the conch shell before we do Arati? Shastras tell us we do that to signal that the transcendental message of the Lord will block out all other noises so that we concentrate on Krishna. So the demons became terrified. And the last wall of the remaining city, Krishna just smashed it. And there was nothing between Krishna and the city now. But what do we find? We find actually that there was a very powerful demon known as Mura. This Mura demon was actually a very close personal associate of Narakasura. And he was there to guard the city with his life. He was sleeping. And where does he sleep? He sleeps in the moat of the castle. He is deep in the water which is surrounding the city. The moment he heard the conch shell, he was awake. And when he awoke from his slumber, he became very angry. This is quality of demons. We should check ourselves. When we wake up in the morning, are we grouchy and grumpy? If we are grouchy and grumpy and nobody wants to come in front of us in the morning, that is demonic tendency. But if you chant in the night before you wake up in the morning, you find that actually you wake up feeling very, very peaceful. This is very important. We always tell devotees, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you please pay obeisances to Prabhupada, pay obeisances to your spiritual master. Whatever grouchiness and grumpiness you have, it will go. So Mura was awakened, but he became very angry. And at that point of time, he charged out of the moat to see who has actually disturbed his peace. He was shocked when he saw that the entire city was completely exposed. And then he saw Krishna on Garuda and Satyabhama. Bhagavatam tells us that Mura had 5 heads. 5 heads. And he was so brilliant as the sun, so powerful, that it appeared as if the sun had come down to greet the Lord. Then what happened was Mura started looking around to see where are the other soldiers coming. And he saw it was only Krishna, only Sudarshan Chakra, one lady was there, that's Satyabhama and Garuda. And he saw how Garuda was dispersing the military strength. So Mura became very angry and he rushed towards Garuda, hoping to harm him. But before he could even attack Garuda, he started whirling his trident. You know that trident like a spear? That was his weapon. So he started whirling it, Krishna book tells us. And the whirling of the trident brought about such a terrifying noise that anyone would have become terrified just by hearing that sound. So at that point of time, Garuda was going to be hurt, so to speak, by Mura. But Krishna was so quick. As he threw the trident towards Garuda, Bhagavatam tells us Krishna, just by the quick movement of his hand, took out actually, he took out 2 arrows, didn't put them to the bow, and he threw them at the trident, and the trident broke into pieces. So from this we come to know that actually Krishna doesn't need a bow to shoot arrows. Very nice point, isn't it? Krishna doesn't need a bow to shoot the arrows. Why? Because he's absolute. He can use anything as a weapon. He can use anything for Krishna consciousness because he's all in all. So that's why he just used 2 arrows and he threw them and the trident was cut into pieces. Simultaneously, he used many arrows and then he put them to the bow. And Bhagavatam tells us he pierced the mouths of Mura. So 5 heads, and each head, right, was pierced with at least 5 to 10 arrows from the Lord's quiver. Can you imagine? So that stopped Mura from making any noise. He couldn't make noise now. But still, he was actually very angry. This is a problem also with demonic tendency. When we have well-wishers trying to correct us, instead of becoming angry with them, like the demons do, we should become sober. See, Mura was given a chance to reform after the 2 arrows cut off his trident. But since he was still angry, the arrows had to go into his mouth. And even then he was still angry. And he decided, let me attack with my club now. The moment he brought out his club, Krishna took his club, and with his club he smashed the club of Narakasura. So Narakasura had no club, trident was also gone, so what is left? Only his own arms. So Bhagavatam tells us he got his own arms and he rushed towards Sudarshan Chakra and he rushed towards Krishna. And at that point of time, Krishna just smiled and Sudarshan Chakra then separated the head of the demon from his body. So Mura actually fell into the water headless. And Bhagavatam tells us he fell into the water and all his effulgence was actually gone. So with the Mura demon gone, Mura had actually 7 sons. I can't remember the names, but they are in Krishna book. So these 7 sons became very upset because father has been killed by Krishna. This is another problem of the demons. When someone has made a mistake, because of bad association, they also make the same mistake. This is very dangerous. When you see someone making a mistake in Krishna consciousness, our duty is to make sure we are fixed and we don't also make that same mistake. So the sons of Mura were having the association of Mura. So very automatically they also decided to become angry and they wanted to fight. So Narakasura heard that his greatest general had been killed. So he got his commander-in-chief known as Pita, and he got him to command the 7 sons, get an entire army, and they prepared to fight with Krishna. And by the order of Narakasura, all kinds of weapons came out. But for every weapon that was thrown at Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead pierced them with arrows. Not only did he pierce them with arrows, he pierced all the demons who were fighting on the battlefield with the arrows, such that their heads were severed, sometimes their limbs were severed, sometimes their entire torso was severed. And when he hurled his final weapon to Pita, even he also had to lose his life. So actually Narakasura had become so upset with the whole situation that he decided he will come out now. And he also came out in great fury. And he thought that he would be so powerful that the Lord would definitely fall. But he didn't realize that the moment he came out, Lord was already free and prepared to fight him. Because there was no one else alive on the battlefield except the Lord, Satyabhama and Garuda. So Narakasura had a weapon, Krishna book says. It is known as Shatagni. Very powerful weapon given to him last time as a boon from one of the Devatas. And with this weapon he could kill hundreds of soldiers in just one stroke. So he dispatched this weapon very powerfully towards Krishna. But Krishna counteracted it by releasing his feathered arrows. And when the feathered arrows touched this weapon, it was completely destroyed. And after that, the arrows continued after killing this weapon. After destroying this weapon, Bhagavatam says that the arrows continued and killed the remaining armies of Narakasura. So Narakasura was left alone. Now he was still angry. And he saw that Garuda himself was killing so many of his army men. Because Garuda is very powerful. Garuda is taking association of who? He's taking association of Krishna. So he's carrying Krishna on his back. So how much association there is? All of Krishna's qualities and opulences, those who take association of him, they also get these qualities of opulences. Very important point. So that's why Garuda was so powerful. And at that point of time, Krishna thought that let us see whether he will attack Garuda. And Narakasura decided to hurl. He hurled a very powerful weapon towards Garuda. But Garuda just received the weapon on his body as an elephant would receive a shower of garlands on its body. Nothing, you know. If you throw a garland to an elephant, it's not going to be painful at all. In the same way, Bhagavatam says, it was just like the flowers in an elephant. Garuda did not even feel anything. Now Narakasura was very desperate. He realized now that nothing was working. So what did he do? He decided one last time, he will take his own trident and he will attack Krishna. But here, Prabhupada uses a nice word to describe Krishna. He says Krishna was so dexterous. D-E-X-T-E-R-O-U-S. Dexterous. Dexterous means highly skillful. Dexterous also means able to do very complicated things in a simple manner. And this is quality of Krishna. That's why those who take association of Bhagavatam and take association of Krishna, and his devotees, they don't complicate their lives. They simplify their lives. We become disturbed actually when we complicate our lives. When we deviate here and there, we become khichdi. And then we become very confused. And we don't realize that death is coming. So actually, Narakasura thought he was very powerful, but Krishna was dexterous. Before Narakasura could even touch his trident, he was reaching out to his trident. Before he could touch it, Krishna dispatched Sudarshan Chakra and cut off his head with just one swipe. That ended the demon. All the demon's relatives, Bhagavatam says, they screamed in disappointment. Why? Because they thought that Narakasura was invincible. And all the saintly persons who were watching the fight, they didn't scream, because saintly persons don't scream. They glorified the Lord. They chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And at that point of time, Bhumi Devi appears before Krishna. When she appears before Krishna, she bows down. What does she do? She gives Krishna a beautiful jewel garland known as Vaijayanti Mala. This Vaijayanti Mala is actually only meant for Krishna. Then she gives Krishna the earrings that her son had stolen from Aditi. And she says, Krishna, please return the earrings now. Then she gives him the umbrella. Krishna, you remember this umbrella was stolen? Varuna must be looking for it. Now you please take it also. And then she handed over the portion of Mount Meru that was actually captured by Narakasura, and she said, this is also yours, my Lord. She did not keep them for herself, because Bhumi Devi is a Lord. And then Bhagavatam tells us she offers 10 to 12 beautiful prayers in glorification of Krishna. And the first prayer is very nice. It is in 10th canto, 59th chapter. I think the verse is 25 or 26. Bhumir Uvacha. You can sing with me. Namaste Deva Devesha.
Namaste Deva Devesha.
Shankar Chakra Gadadhara.
Shankar Chakra Gadadhara.
Bhakta Ichcha Upat Rupaya.
Bhakta Ichcha Upat Rupaya.
Paramatman Namastute.
Paramatman Namastute.
So she says, my obeisances unto you, my Lord. You are the chief of all the Devatas. That's why he is known as Deva Devesha. That is Krishna's name. Then she tells him nicely that you are Paramatma. You are the super soul within all the hearts of the living entities. And she says something very beautiful. You assume a variety of forms, Krishna, just to fulfill your devotee's desire. See how kind Krishna is. He takes different forms to fulfill different devotees' desire. Prahlad Maharaj was desiring to show the world and his father that Krishna can appear in any circumstances from anywhere. And so Krishna took the form which is unique, just for the pleasure of his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Can you imagine that for one personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is willing to come in an exclusive incarnation? This is how much Krishna loves devotees. And that's why Bhumi Devi is saying, you are so kind that you come to fulfill the desires of your devotee. Now, if you have time and you read this verse, you read the next verse, 26, and you find, hey, this is very amazing. Is anyone looking at the 26th verse? What is the verse, Mataji? Namaha Pankaja Namaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangre. It is the exact verse that who sings? Kunti Mata sings. And in the purport, very nicely it is stated, chronologically, Bhumi Devi sang this verse earlier than Kunti Devi. Earlier than Kunti Devi. Many years later, Kunti Devi would sing the same verse. Same verse. But why is it the same verse? People may ask. Because the sentiments of the devotee, right, they are always full of love for Krishna. So it's very possible for two devotees to compose two perfectly similar prayers, because their mood of glorifying Krishna always inspires Krishna to inspire them. So it's a nice verse. Sometimes we think this is the only verse. It's actually found twice in Bhagavatam. There are very few verses that are found twice or three times in Bhagavatam, but they indicate how important they are. Because this whole thing actually compares Krishna to the lotus flower. So after praying to Krishna very nicely, Bhumi Devi, actually in prayer, Bhumi Devi was glorifying Krishna. And in glorifying Krishna, Bhumi Devi was also telling Krishna something else. That actually I'm very happy you have relieved this world by killing my son. That's what she was saying. And she had to do that because it was for the greater good of the world. This is very important. We all have demonic tendencies in our hearts. In this Kali Yuga, it is stated that the demons and the devatas live side by side in our hearts in terms of qualities. And it's very easy, even while wearing dhoti, kurta, tilak, to allow demonic tendencies to come into our hearts. That's why the verse here is very important. So Bhumi Devi then tells Krishna, I have brought with me the son of Narakasura. You read it in the purport. I brought with me the son of Narakasura, Bhagadat. Bhagadat is a very nice boy, but because of the ghastly situation that has been presented by the father, and because of the father's demonic ways, he has become confused. He has become confused. You see the power of bad association? Even though the son, right, of Narakasura was actually a good boy at heart, but he became confused by his father's behavior. That's why as leaders of our houses, leaders of our congregations, leaders of anybody who is following us, it becomes very important for us to give good association to them. And how can we give good association if we ourselves are not taking association of Krishna, Guru, Sadhu and Sastra? We must remember that. Luckily, Bhumi Devi was there as the grandmother. And because Bhumi Devi is always a devotee of Krishna, she gave association to Bhagadat. And that's why she brought him in front of Krishna to recommend him. A devotee is very dear to Krishna, but a devotee of a devotee becomes even dearer to Krishna. So when Mother Bhumi brought the grandson before Krishna, she said, Krishna, please, I have brought him here to surrender unto your lotus feet. And Bhagadat nicely bowed before Krishna. And then she said, I please request you to give shelter to him and bless him. And please always keep him in devotional service. Such a nice prayer. This should be our prayer to Krishna every day. Please always keep us undeviated and always keep us at the lotus feet of devotees and Krishna. And then she says, by taking shelter of you, I pray that he will be relieved from the reactions of all the sinful activities of his father. Please note this. This is found in Krishna book. Very important. Bhumi Devi ends by saying, give him relief from reactions. What reactions? These reactions have come from the sinful activities of his father. We forget one very important law of karma. The stringent law of material nature is the sinful acts of the fathers and the mothers are visited upon the children. This is also found in the Bible. So it is universal. If we don't take up Krishna consciousness and we engage in sinful activities, these sinful activities will bring reactions. The reactions will touch us and they will touch our children and our loved ones. Even if you love yourself so much and you don't want to become a devotee, but at least make those who are dependent on you become devotee. And for that reason, we should become devotees. Very, very important. So, she did the best thing. Because Bhagadat had asat sangha, not good association from his father, she now brought him to the lotus feet of Krishna to give him good association. Krishna became very kind and naturally he accepted Bhagadat. And what did he say? He told Bhumi Devi, I'm very pleased by all your tolerance. And I'm very pleased that you have brought your grandson, the son of Narakasura here. And Krishna personally installed him. He personally installed him as ruler of that fortified city. And then Krishna took all the ornaments and stolen items, being ready now to give it to Indra. And before he did that, he entered the palace of Narakasura. And there he found 16,100 queens had been kidnapped by Narakasura and kept there. He kept them because he wanted to enjoy them. You know, when you want to enjoy something, you only want it for yourself. Very hard to share actually. We take the same mood into devotional service. You know where we show it? When we have a service, suddenly I come and tell you, Mataji, Prabhu, there's another devotee here, he also likes to do this service. Suddenly, I thought it was only my service. Actually, in truth, we are all what we call individual players. When we take a service, it's my service. Nobody else can take the service. We are leaving material life to actually serve everyone. But when you hold on to a service, you forget that you're not giving others the opportunity to do service for Krishna. So that is not a very nice thing to do. Good association means give devotees as much possibility of sharing service. Then devotees come and tell me, Prabhu, but I find it very difficult to work with this Mataji, very difficult to work with this Prabhu. But why do you think service is there? Service is there so that we can purify our own hearts of these fault-finding mentalities. If we find fault with others, we'll never be able to work with them. And that is not what Krishna consciousness is about. So Krishna is so kind that he gave this association. And then he actually liberated all the queens from their jail. Now, Vedic culture means that these queens could not get married to anyone else because they had stayed too long with Narakasura. But every queen who looked at Krishna desired in her heart that who should be a better husband than Lord Krishna. And they all desired in their hearts that way. And Krishna fulfilled every one of their wishes by telling them, I will get married to all of you. All of you. And so when Krishna went back to Dwarka finally, it was not a very small team that came back with him. No? So huge, it could have been like an army, 16,100 wives. One wife already we find it challenging. One husband already we find, I can't take this anymore. And Krishna had 16,100 queens. And Krishna behaved with them in such a transcendental way that when Narada Muni went to each of their houses later, he saw Krishna was perfect husband to this particular queen's nature. And when he went to another house, he saw Krishna was perfectly poised to take care of this nature of the queen. This is the greatness of Krishna. And Narada Muni realized that each queen in the house thought, Krishna only thinks I am the special one. This is quality of Krishna. Krishna is so amazing, so transcendently cheating by nature, that when you do service and you have some chance to do service for him, you feel, he's only reciprocating with me. We always have this thing in our heart because we want to be special. It's a human tendency. Only I should be special. So Krishna did this nice pastime with me. Luckily, the queens never shared information with each other. If they did, Dwarka becomes Kurukshetra. Because each one was thinking, this is very nice. Krishna is only meant for me. And Krishna made them feel that I am the only one. I have eyes only on you and nobody else. This is the greatness of Krishna. This is greatness of Krishna. Now that we know the beautiful pastime of Narakasura, Prabhupada takes from this pastime an important point. And this is very important for us to remember. He says in the purport that actually Narakasura was born of Bhumi Devi, great devotee of the Lord, and the Lord in the form of Varaha. So, how much good association he had when he was born? The best association you can get. But Prabhupada writes there that even though he had that, what was the point? Because Prabhupada says as he grew up, this exalted parentage, he did not take advantage of the association. He spent a lot of time with another demon known as Banasur. Banasur had 1,000 arms. And Banasur himself was actually the great-grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. Banasura was the son of Bali Maharaj. I'm sorry. Banasur was the son of Bali Maharaj. In 8th canto, it is stated that Banasur is the eldest son of Bali Maharaj. So think about it. Just think about it. Here you have a position where Banasur himself had the great association of Bali Maharaj. And even though Bali Maharaj initially was actually a great pious devotee, you will also remember that Bali Maharaj's father was Virochana. Virochana's father was Prahlad Maharaj. So actually Bali Maharaj came from an exalted devotee lineage. But because of association with power, intoxication of sense gratification, and taking over of the three worlds and having all the association of demons, Bali Maharaj lost all good common sense. But the Lord saved him in the form of Vasudev. Now this same Bali Maharaj had many sons, and the eldest was Banasur. And Banasur actually had 1,000 arms, and he became a great devotee of Lord Shiva. And because he was so powerful, one day when Lord Shiva was performing the dance of destruction, Banasur actually, inspired by the Lord's dance, with his 1,000 arms he became a one-man orchestra. He played the mridanga, he played the drums, he had, 1,000 arms means you can play many instruments, So he was doing a very wonderful accompaniment to the dance of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva became so happy, Bhagavatam tells us, that he gave him the boon of almost invincibility. And then Banasura, when he became so powerful, Bhagavatam tells us that he became intoxicated by strength. And this strength he did not realize was coming from Krishna. Because one of the opulences of Krishna is that he's all powerful. He didn't realize that this all-powerful nature is the mercy of Krishna through the mercy of Lord Shiva, his greatest devotee. So he went all around picking trouble with everyone. And in the end you will know that Banasura had a daughter known as Usha. And by Krishna's arrangement, Usha actually becomes completely mesmerized by Krishna's son, Aniruddha. And finally what happens? Somehow by the potency of Krishna's arrangement, Usha and Aniruddha actually meet. They stay together for many days in the same palace as the father. And when the father comes to find out that actually Usha is having a personal, intimate connection with a Yadava, his sworn enemy, Banasura kidnaps Aniruddha for a while. And then there follows the great battle between Banasura on one side and the demons, and Lord Krishna coming with all the armies. And in that fight, because of Lord Shiva's mercy, Banasura was spared. The point we are trying to bring here is, Prabhupada in his purport says that good association does not just only come with good parentage. It's a very important point. Prabhupada says that actually the eldest son of Bali Maharaj, being Banasura, he was very powerful, but the problem is he did not want to turn to the lotus feet of Krishna. This same Banasura gave association to who? He gave association to Narakasura. And because Narakasura had his association, he lost all idea of the purpose of life. That's why Prabhupada tells us that these great demons, in the 59th chapter of the 10th canto, it is stated the great demons, they have only one aim in life, and that is to gratify their senses. And they will go to all lengths. And because they think sense enjoyment is the key of life, what happens? It becomes very, very important to them. They become overly attached. And because they become overly attached, Bhagavatam tells us actually, that they are not grateful that Krishna has given strength. Prabhu, can I request you to move forward? Because many devotees behind, they don't have space. Please come forward. It is stated in 214 Shrimad Bhagavatam. It's a nice verse, But the point that's important is, Pashyanapi na pashyati. Pashyanapi na pashyati. Prabhupada quoted this many times. The meaning is very simple. Although imminent destruction is coming, still, because we are intoxicated by sense enjoyment, we actually think that we will live forever. We don't realize that time is running. Never mind, I'll chant 16 rounds next life. This life, let me chant 4 rounds and be happy. I'll start reading Bhagavatam in about 2 lives. This is our master plan. But we don't realize, Pashyati, we don't see that actually time is running. And if we are not careful, the sinful activities will catch us and we will forget Krishna. So bad association can occur even if parentage is great. And that is why Prabhupada uses one phrase which is very important. One must become trained in the culture of good association. You see that in the last line of the purport. That is why Prabhupada created the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Why? Because among other things, the most important thing a society remembering Krishna can do is to train itself up in the culture of good association. Prabhupada always wanted devotees to be trained. It is not that we just do something whimsically. The demons never follow the rules and regulations of the Lord. They concoct their own rules and regulations. When Hiranyakashipu wanted to do austerity, he did austerity. When he didn't want, it didn't matter austerity. Never woke up for Mangalarti any day, but decided to stand on one leg for 60,000 years. This is not following the training of the Acharyas. So we also should be very careful not to concoct things which Prabhupada never wanted us to do. When we concoct these things, we are not in good association. We are actually in bad association. And bad association spoils everything. Look at Bhagavatam. Duryodhana had the association of Sakuni. And because Sakuni was actually very, very wily and cunning, Duryodhana didn't realize that he was actually so much under the shelter of his uncle. And that's why he completely lost his head. Karna is born from Kunti Mata. But he took association not of the Pandavas, he took special association of who? Duryodhana. Everything Duryodhana did, he followed. And what was the result? Karna also was destroyed. He had the chance to be of noble birth, but he did not make use of it. Because the culture of training was in Kaurava style. It wasn't in Pandava style. So you can see, Bhagavatam is very clear. You all remember the story of Ajamil. Ajamil in the early years, he was worshipping Narayana Shila. He was a first-class Brahmana, chanting his rounds, obedient, always worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what happened? He just went into the forest to collect firewood, and as he came out, he saw a Shudra and a Shudrani embracing. And that was enough to disturb his mind. And though he tried very hard to bring his mind back, because mind was uncontrolled, it controlled him. And for so many years, till the age of 88 years old, Bhagavatam tells us he associated with everything and anything except Krishna consciousness. But Krishna is so kind. You know, I was driving today and there was a car in front of me, and there was a sticker. The sticker said, God is so kind that even if you're going down a road and you made the wrong turn, he allows you to make a U-turn. Very nice point. It's from it's actually, he's probably of the Christian faith, so he wrote that. God is so kind, if you take the wrong road, he allows you to make a U-turn. So even though for up to 88 years old, Ajamil was in bad association, but because he named his son Narayana, that was the only good association he had. That good association overwhelmed the bad association in the end. It overwhelmed it. And that's why he was saved. Then you look at the other example of Bharat Maharaj in the 5th canto. Bharat Maharaj left everything. Great devotee of the Lord. He went to Pulahasya ashram. And there he wanted to sit down and meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what happened? He meditated on a deer. Because he thought that compassion is the hallmark of a devotee. Prabhupada says, yes, compassion is the hallmark of devotee. But if the compassion is not dovetailed to serving Krishna and the devotees, then the genuine welfare of the populace is ignored. And that's what happened to Bharat Maharaj. He took association of his mind. Ajamil took association of his mind. And what happened? He became a deer in his next life. But Krishna allows you to make U-turn. So even though he became a deer in the next life, because he was a devotee in the previous life, Krishna gave him the power of remembrance. And as a deer, he was very cautious to avoid asat sangha. Can you imagine? He was very careful. He was always moving around and making sure that he was always remembering Bhagavatam and chanting the holy names. And therefore, in the next life, he became the great Jadabharat. And even when he became Jadabharat, Prabhupada writes he was cautious to avoid bad association. And how did he do that? By acting like a madman. Because when you act like a madman, everyone says, I don't want to associate with you. The good news is, okay, I'm free of bad association. You all don't have to behave that way. Right? Don't become like madmen, then nobody will come to the center. But the point is, Bharat Maharaj misplaced his affection because when he sat down in Pulatsya ashram, he had no association of devotees. No association of devotees. Sometimes we think we can sit at home and just do devotional service. But we can do it to a certain extent. But if we want to make advancement, we must take association of devotees. This is very important. Without even realizing it, we will grow in devotional service when we are in association of devotees. So this is the point to remember. Look at Shishupal, Prabhu's and Mataji's. Shishupal was born and he is related to Krishna. And when Krishna came, remember he was born with 3 eyes and 4 arms. And when Krishna came, the 3rd eye left, the 2 arms dropped. But the prophecy said the person who, when this baby sees when the baby takes sight of a person and his 3rd eye and 4 hands drops, that person will finally kill this baby. So when Krishna was the person, Shishupal's mother said, please Krishna, don't kill him. Don't kill him. So Krishna told her, I will give him 100 chances. 100 is a very big quota actually. Generally we should not fault find 100 times. But in Kali Yuga you can do 100 fault finding deeds in one day if you want to actually. It's not difficult. This is Kali Yuga. So Shishupal actually had the association of Jarasan. And because of the association of Jarasan, Jarasan was enemy of Krishna. Shishupal also became very, very envious of Krishna. Do you remember Kaikeyi? Kaikeyi actually had more love for Lord Ram than even for her own Bharat. In fact, Lord Ram would spend more time with Kaikeyi because he saw her as more mother than even his own mother Kaushalya. But Ramayana tells us the moment Mantara, her maid, realized that Bharat was going to be sent away and Lord Ram was going to become crowned king, her envy she passed on to Kaikeyi. Because she realized I'll be out of a job, she will not be principal queen, so I have to incite envy in her. For many hours she sat down with Kaikeyi and she slowly poisoned her mind. Again, where is the recipient of bad association? It's always in the mind. Always in the mind. Kaikeyi started the day glorifying Ram and she ended the day asking the boon from Dasharath, which will kill Dasharath and which will send Lord Ram to 14 years of exile. This was all because of the influence of mantra. This is very, very important. That is why when Krishna went, last effort, you remember Krishna went to Hastinapur and there he wanted to sit down as an emissary of peace. And when he arrived there, all the Kauravas, Duryodhana and everyone, they came out to receive Krishna and say, Krishna, please stay in our palace. We've got a special room for you. We will cook nice food for you. Krishna said, it's all right. I'm just staying on the outskirts of the city and I'm staying with Vidura. Vidura's house, Vidura was offering food to the Lord. And he was not cooking food, Mahabharata says, that was given to him by Duryodhana. He bought his own boga. Did not even live off Duryodhana. And that is why Krishna said, I will stay in devotee's house. Why? Because even the food that we take, if the food is contaminated by one who is offensive in nature, our consciousness actually becomes disturbed. It will become disturbed. This is the point that's very important. Towards the end of Mahabharata, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj brings up in a nice lecture in Ujjain. Maharaj said this important point. He said when Bhishma Dev gave his final instructions to the Pandavas, just before he left on the 56th day, Uttarayana, before he left, Draupadi looked at him and said, you have given such wonderful, nectarian instructions. But when you were there watching me being disrobed, you did not stop anyone from doing this. Why? And Bhishma Dev brings up a very nice point. He said that when I was there, I was consuming palatable foodstuff prepared by Duryodhana. And that palatable foodstuff is not good association. Today, as I lie down on the bed of arrows, my blood is all drained. And with that is the draining of all the Asat Sangha of Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra and the Kauravas. And by the Lord's mercy, I am now able to speak very clearly on how to live life as a devotee. Bhishma Dev, of course, is a pure devotee. So from day one, his consciousness is always with Krishna. But Krishna uses the pure devotees to teach us the example of how dangerous bad association can be. And that is why Prabhu said, Matajis, we should be very careful about that. Prabhupada gives this nice point. Where there is bad association, there will be symptoms of it. The first symptom of bad association is in 4:28:25. And there Prabhupada writes that we will have great attachment to sense gratification when we are in bad association. You can test it on your own heart. If you come to Krishna consciousness as you go on in Krishna consciousness, but if your sadhana drops, your time spent with Bhagavatam is going, you start taking the devotional practice for granted, you dilute the fire of enthusiasm that you started with, you will find eventually that your attention is diverted to other areas of life. And your mind will give you the favorable arguments. Oh, so many years I spent as devotee, now just take a little time off from bhakti, it's not going to kill me. A little time off will be permanent time off. That's why Prabhupada writes in the purport of 4:28:25, great attachment to sense gratification is the start of bad association. The other point that's very important, a symptom, is lack of interest in spiritual life. After a while we compromise. Never mind at the point of our spiritual vows, 16 rounds, but actually realistically we can't do it. Times are changing. According to time, place and circumstances, we will chant what we can. After all, Prabhupada said we should do Krishna consciousness according to time, place and circumstances. See how powerful the mind is. Very easy. Oh, Mangalarti at 4:30 in the morning, not possible. Prabhupada started 4:30 in the morning because all the devotees were staying in temple. You know, he did not envision that other people outside the temple would be staying. Prabhupada is three-kal Yajna. He can see past, he can see present, he can see future because he's pure devotee of the Lord. But this is how we dilute it with the favorable arguments of the mind. The result is disconnect and unhappiness. Another symptom that's very important is that we start forgetting Krishna. When we are in difficulty, instead of remembering Krishna, we try to solve the situations with material solutions. And when all else fails, oh yeah, there's Krishna. So maybe I should remember Krishna now. But look, when Ashwatthama's Brahmastra was coming and Arjuna and Krishna were there, what is the first thing Arjuna did? Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho, Bhaktanam Abhayankaraha, Tvameko Dhayamananam, Apavargosi Samstritehe. This is Arjuna. His consciousness was so fixed with Krishna, but never once did he forget that even when imminent danger was coming, all the more reason to take shelter of Krishna, even though he was fully capable of counteracting this imminent danger. This is the mood of good association. The opposite is that we start forgetting Krishna. I remember I asked my Guru Maharaj, how do we know if we are remembering Krishna all the time? Maharaj said, if you fall down or you have an accident, the moment something happens to you, what is the first word that comes out? If it's Krishna, you are safe. If it's anything else, and then later, oh, I'm Krishna's devotee, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Then we know how far we are from Krishna. It's very important. The next symptom, Bhagavatam tells us, of bad association is fault finding. Fault finding. The entire Kuru dynasty of Kauravas were only finding fault with Pandavas, and they were only finding fault with Krishna. And devotees, we have left everything to come to Krishna. But when we walk into this Gauranga center and in our hearts and our minds we try to find fault with devotees, Krishna is never pleased. Prabhupada condemned fault finding and criticism. He said that it is only the duty of people who are tasked to do certain work that they may correct others. But other than that, we should never criticize devotees. You will find in Bhagavatam, every devotee was critical of another personality, eventually had to fall down. Chitraketu Maharaj achieved such great transcendental bliss when he saw Sankarshan, Lord Sankarshan. But after getting the darshan, Prabhupada writes in the 6th canto, he became a little bit proud. And as he was traveling in the airplane one day, what happened? He saw Parvati Mata sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva, amidst an assembly of great personalities. And he laughed. Of course, when he laughed, a part of him which was devotional was trying to remind Lord Shiva that you are a great teacher. If you sit with someone on your lap, everybody else will sit with their wives and whoever else on their lap, and they will give discourses. But at the same time, Prabhupada says, he was also offensive. And because of that offense, at that point of time, Parvati Mata curses him. And even though he had a moment of bad association in his heart because of pride, but because of the U-turn philosophy, Krishna saved him and he became Vritrasur in his next birth. The point is, fault finding and criticism should never be a part of our Vaishnava culture. We are never trained to find fault. We are trained to see good things in devotees and good things in everyone. Prabhupada ends the purport so nicely by saying, unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. He doesn't even use the word Krishna conscious. Even becoming a good person requires good association. In the company of drunkards, even if you don't drink, eventually you will say, let me just try one day. Everybody around you is smoking. They tell you, come now, smoke break, come and sit with me. You don't want to smoke. But by association, eventually you will smoke. And even if you don't want to smoke, by passive smoking, you will also die. See how powerful bad association is. This is how it is. So it's very, very, very dangerous. In the third canto, this is very important. In the third canto, 29th chapter, Kapila Dev in 8, 9 and 10 verses, he tells us how as devotees, we must be very clear what the goal of devotional service is. The goal of devotional service is Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yathor Bhakti. Then Ahaitukam Akriti Hata Viyatma Prasidati. The soul in the living entity can only become satisfied when the soul is satisfied. And how will we become satisfied and peaceful, Prabhus and Matajis? If we accept that the goal of life is to attain to love of Godhead on the platform of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service. We should never compromise on this goal. We should never say pure devotional service is out of my reach. Of course it's out of our reach. But it is the aim of our life. It is the aim of our existence. And it must be done without motivation. Then it can be uninterrupted. Sometimes devotees say, I start a service, then I stop. I start a service, then I stop. Why? Go back to your heart. Prabhupada says in the 6th canto, 16th chapter, 34th verse, he says that if you want to perform devotional service which is uninterrupted, you must have no motive in your heart except to glorify Krishna and the devotees. Otherwise, your devotional service will blind. It's a very simple test. And this point we should not forget. In the 8th chapter of the 29th chapter, 8th verse of the 3rd canto, Kapila Dev tells Devahuti Mata, Mother, devotional service which is executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent and angry, that kind of service is in the mode of ignorance. Prabhupada writes in the purport that the spiritual master is the person to give us guidance. When a devotee, after coming to devotional service, if he's still violent, if he's still proud, if he's still envious and still angry, then Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph of the purport, he quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says that when a devotee has these symptoms, even though he's performing devotional service, the devotional service is done in the mood where he thinks he is the best devotee. Prabhupada writes that very clearly. Read the purport. He says a devotee who thinks he is the best devotee, he will become envious, proud and angry. He will also be violent. Sometimes devotees say, but nobody is punching each other and beating each other in the center, so there's no violence. But violence in the devotee takes the form of harsh words. The tongue can cut deeper than a sword. If you read 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 4th verse, Dambo Darpo Abhimanascha, you'll find one word that's very important, Parushyam. The quality of a demon is that they always use harsh words. A devotee never uses harsh words. A devotee uses sweet but honest words. That is very important. That's why as devotees, we must check ourselves. Are we proud of our devotional service? If that is the case, then we are taking bad association of the mind. So we must be very careful. And Prabhupada writes there Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one may offer respects to such a Vaishnava because he has accepted the Supreme Lord in his heart. But one should not keep company with a Vaishnava who is in the mode of ignorance. The reason is, if we are weak, we will also get the tendencies of being violent, envy, proud, and all these things will affect our devotional service. It's very important. Bhagavatam then goes on to tell us that if we are in the mode of passion, then what happens is, we will only see the deity as Krishna, and we will never see Krishna in the hearts of the devotees. Then we will treat the devotees with disdain and disrespect. And Bhagavatam tells us when we do that, Prabhus and Matajis, that devotion is in the mode of passion. So Vaishnavas are not interested to do devotional service which is mixed. We want to come out of that mixed devotional service. That is the best association we can get. That is why we must become trained in the culture of association. And that is why Bhagavatam tells us that the worst association is the association of the mind. If the mind is not trained, the mind becomes our enemy. It is considered in Bhagavad Gita that the mind is chanchal. Chanchal means it will run from here to there, here to there. It will say, why should I chant 16 rounds? Why should I take up Krishna consciousness? And when it is not trained, it becomes an enemy. And then the intelligence that we have, it becomes misguided. So misguided intelligence and uncontrolled mind, if you take association of these two, then we will slowly forget Krishna. So sometimes we think that the real danger of bad association is an external factor. But we don't realize that the real danger is in the mind and the intelligence. Look at Narakasura, born with the association of mother who's exalted devotee and father supreme personality of Godhead. But because of association of another demon, his mind became demonic. But the beauty of each one of us, Prabhupada says, is we are individuals. We have the exercise of some level of independence. We can, if we decide, we can desire, Ichcha. Ichcha is the only monopoly of the living entity. We can desire to serve Krishna and not the mind. But if we don't desire to serve Krishna, then the mind will be served. Bad association is very subtle. It is known in Bhagavatam as Gambhir. You won't know when it comes into your heart. And that is why with good devotional practice, bad association will go. Another example of how subtle association, which is bad, touches you is given in Ramayana. You all remember Sugriva and Vali? You remember that Vali was the brother of Sugriva, and he was eventually killed by Lord Ram. When Vali was going to be killed by Lord Ram, Vali asked Lord Ram, why are you killing me? I had no quarrel with you, but you had quarrel with me. Why did you take the side of Sugriva? And Lord Ram gives him 3 reasons. The first reason he said is, you don't realize you belong to the race of Vanaras. Therefore, you are considered to be under the control of the kings of the Ishwaku dynasty. Therefore, because you are also having animal tendencies in your heart, I have the right to kill you not in the Kshatriya way, but behind a tree. Because you are an animal. You could have become more than an animal, but you have displayed animal tendencies. But the second point he brings up is very important for this discussion. He says that when you chased out your brother Sugriva, what did you do? You actually took his wife Ruma and you kept her in your house and you forcibly enjoyed her. And that is very bad. And Vali accepted it. After Vali is pushed away from Kishkinda and he dies, Sugriva becomes the king. And now Sugriva must fulfill his promise of using the Vanara race to locate Sita Mata. Lord Ram is patient and waits. Never mind, he's in holiday mood. Let's wait, let's wait. After a long time, Sugriva was not doing anything. And then Hanumanji comes to see Sugriva in Kishkinda. And he realizes Sugriva is now enjoying the same sense gratification that his brother enjoyed. And what did he do? He had taken his brother's wife Tara, and along with Ruma he was enjoying Tara. Isn't that what Vali was doing? Do you see the subtle bad association? I'll tell you another example which is in the world today. Studies have conclusively shown when a child grows up in an environment where the father is physically abusive of the mother, he hates the father. He grows up resenting the father. But studies show, and I'm in family law, and I can tell you, I see this every week. The same man who grows up not liking what his father did to his mother, he will also end up beating his own wife. That's the studies. Why? Asat Sangha. Asat Sangha. This principle is not just the domain of Krishna consciousness. It is a common sense principle. That which you hate but you associate with, thinking that I can conquer this, you will be conquered. You will be conquered. That's why Devaki Mata was fearful of Kamsa. Because Prabhupada says in the 10th canto, Kamsa represents material association. And she was fearful of him. She was fearful because she wanted always to be at the lotus feet of Krishna. So this fear is not a sign of weakness. This fear in a devotee, Prabhupada writes, is a sign of being practical. When Yamuna Mataji and a few devotees started going to a pub to chant Hare Krishna, and they came back one day to see Prabhupada, Prabhupada just tolerated and said, oh, that's nice, they chanted. Second time they went and they came back past midnight, because pub goers only become active after midnight. The devotees chanted and came back. Prabhupada was still up waiting for them to come back. And when Prabhupada said, why are you also coming back late? They said, we were chanting and giving the holy names to all the pub goers. And next day Prabhupada said, now you should stop going to the pubs. Because you may think you're giving them holy name, but eventually their association will overwhelm you. So humility is important. We must recognize that we are not strong enough to throw away Asat Sangha. And that's why we must become humble before the Lord and devotees and hanker for good association. When you hanker for good association, Krishna becomes pleased. And the last point that's very important is what Krishna gives in 241 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, ekena kuru nandana, bahu sakha hi anantascha, buddhayo vyavasayina. What is the meaning? He says that it is very important that those who are on this path, they are resolute and determined in purpose. But the intelligence of those who are not resolute and determined, what happens? Bahusaka. They become many-branched. That's why Prabhu said, Matajis, if you really want good association, you become fixed in the process of devotional service. Don't go here and there and divert your attention. The more you divert your attention, the less focus you have on good association. It's very important. And for those who are not resolute in determination, just 2 verses down. Bhogaishwarya prasaktana. For those who are very much attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, what happens to them? They are bewildered, and the determination to get sadhu sangha will leave their hearts. You see the point? That is why Prabhupada was very clear that we should do what Kunti Mata has done. What did Kunti Mata do? Remember Prabhupada Maharaj went through those beautiful verses with us? The last verse is very nice. Tvaive ananya vishaya, matir madhu pate asakrit, ratim udbahata adha, gange vauham udanvati. What is Kunti Mata advising us? She's praying to Krishna, O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges is forever flowing to the sea without hindrance. Ganges water doesn't go, okay, now I need to go to sea, but let me take a detour here, let me go and visit my friend there, let me go and see this, let me go and hear that. At the rate she does that, she will never flow to the sea. Sometimes we say, I still need a bit of time to become fixed up, let me try this, try that. By the time you try this, try that, Yamaraj will say, come, you try this now. Come and try that first. And it will go. This is the point. My Guru Maharaj always gave this example. Before you get married, when you are doing arranged marriage, a man may see 5, 6 different proposals. He goes back, okay, option number 1 was good, option number 2 was dangerous, option number 3, I'll die, number 4 is very good, number 5 can cook, number 6 can't do anything. Like that, you are moving around. But the moment you fix your mind and say, that's it, option number 2 I'm getting married to. The day you get married, The next night you should not say, hey, option 5 was better. And then 2 years later, actually, you know what, option 2 was the best. Neither is your attention on option 1, neither is your attention on option 2. Your leg, one foot is on this boat, one foot is on that boat. The boat goes this way, the boat goes that way. Where do you go? You end up in the water. You see the point? That's why we request devotees, when you become chaste to something, take it up. Take it up. I was raised, my spiritual upbringing was in the Ramakrishna mission. And I was thinking for years, as I was reading Prabhupada's books, I want to become fixed with Prabhupada. But then I found, you know, for some reason I was attracted to Ramakrishna mission. So when I met my Guru Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, you know, what should I do? Maharaj told me, well, Ramakrishna is not so bad. There's Ram and there's Krishna. So both are there. And then I realized that actually Ram and Krishna means I should be with Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. Then I went to see the Swamiji in Ramakrishna mission. And I told him that I'm really attracted to Prabhupada. But I have been raised in Ramakrishna mission. What should I do? You know what he told me? He said, you can only make advancement if you are chaste to one goal. And he said, if your goal is Prabhupada, you just be with Prabhupada. This was his magnanimity. And since then, that's all I have tried to see. This is what Kunti Mata is telling us. Don't become diverted to anything else. And Krishna consciousness is very simple. Every one of us have affection for everything. That's not wrong, Prabhupada says. But your affection should first be dovetailed to Krishna. If you are dovetailed towards Krishna, then everything else becomes in relation to Krishna. In 1.842, in the last line of the purport, Prabhupada says a beautiful point. By seeing the light of the sun means to see the sun and everything else which was unseen in darkness. If you see something by the light of the sun, you see the sun and you see everything else which you could not see. This is the all-embracing nature of Krishna consciousness. If we take up Krishna consciousness seriously, if we take good association, then the bad association will not touch us. And whole Bhagavatam, all the devotees are only praying for this. You have heard from Vritasur, Aham Hare Tavapadai Kamula Dasanudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyaha Manasmareta Supate Gunamste Graditava Karma Kurotu Kayaha. What is he praying for? He's just asking one thing. Krishna, will I again be a servant of your eternal service? What does he want? He wants association. And in the purport of that, Prabhupada says, this is the sum and substance of devotional life. One must become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. And this means one must accept a spiritual master in the disciplic succession. Until we surrender at the lotus feet of a spiritual master, we are always going to be diverted. We will go here, we will go there. We don't want to become fixed. That's why marriage also has its ritual. Once you tie the tali, well, you can't say, hey, I didn't tie it, you know, I'm not with you, I'm not here, I'm not there. Cohabitation is the sign of times because no one wants to commit. Initiation is the way to become advanced, because once you are initiated, what happens, Prabhupada says? Whether you like it or not, the mind has to come under the control of the instructions of the spiritual master. You see the importance of it? The challenge, even when we get initiated, is to treat the spiritual master as simply someone I go to and ask for blessings. Maharaj, you know, there's going to be a birthday party for my son's grandson, please bless us. Is your spiritual master there to bless you for that? Oh, Maharaj, you know, I just bought a nice car, please bless me. Maharaj, you know, I got a nice job, please bless me. Probably the spiritual master will bless you by saying, may you lose everything. Because by holding on to all these things, you are diverting your mind here and there and everywhere. Every time you want to take a step in spiritual life, please check with Guru, Sadhu and Sastra if the step is correct. This is important. Otherwise, you will fall into bad association. Look at what Vritrasu says. Nanakam Prishtam, na chaparameshtam, na sarvabhavam, na rasadhipatyam, na yoga siddhir, apunar bhavamva, samanjasatva virahaya kamshe. He says, I don't want anything. I don't desire Dhruvaloka. I don't want the heavenly planets. I don't want the planet where Lord Brahma resides. I don't want the earthly planets. I don't want liberation. I don't want anything if I have to give up your lotus feet. This is what we call one-pointed attention. And you can see the power of good association in Bhagavatam. Because of good association, Prabhus and Matajis, Narada Muni, what happened to him? Narada Muni was just a boy, but he had fleeting moment of association with the Bhakti Vedantas. And they blessed him with devotional service. And because of that, he became Naradaji in his next life. Dhruva Maharaj was very insulted by his stepmother. What does he do? He runs to his mother and says, stepmother told me I cannot sit on my father's lap until I'm born into her womb. And what did mother say? Normally mothers would say, hey, that's very bad, it's not correct. She says, she's right. She's right. Because ultimately, the stepmother told him, you should pray very hard to Krishna, that in next life you are born in my womb. So Sunidhi said, the part about praying hard to Krishna, that is very important. You please pray very hard to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because only He can mitigate your distress. Because of the good association of his mother, he went to the forest and attracted the mercy of another great personality, Narada Muni. And before he goes back, Dhruva Maharaj is so grateful to that good association. He asks Ananda and Sunanda, where's my mother? Because she was my first guru. She brought me to Krishna consciousness. And what do they say? Hey, your mother is already flying up ahead of you. Because she has done a great thing by giving you good association. Look at Prahlad Maharaj. 2 days, Prahlad Maharaj's appearance is coming. Prahlad Maharaj was the opposite of Narakasura. Born into a family of demons. Hiranyakashipu, demon of all demons, the mother of all demons. Right? So powerful. Yet, surrounded by all demonic tendencies. But what does Prahlad Maharaj become? The greatest devotee of the Lord. Because where was his good association? When he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu. She was in the ashram of Narada. Every day Narada Muni only chanted Bhagavatam and gave instructions to mother and child. But because mother had more association of Hiranyakashipu, when she went back she forgot the instructions. But because the child had no other association except the association of Bhagavatam and Narada Muni, he became the pure devotee Prahlad. See the power of good association. Vritrasur, what is he associating with? He's a demon. But his prayers show that he is only associating with Krishna. Gajendra, he was a pious and great devotee Indradyumna Maharaj in his previous life. But when he became Gajendra, he was intoxicated with power. But Krishna is very kind. The U-turn was possible. And with the U-turn, Krishna by his grace gave him the power of remembrance of previous life shlokas. Why? Because he took association of Bhagavatam in his previous life. And Bhagavatam saved him, even though he was in an animal body. What else can we say? It is very, very clear that we must take association. Good association. And we must avoid bad association. We don't need to kill someone with bad association. Please don't do that. Don't do that. But we should say Hare Krishna and we avoid the bad association. Sometimes people ask me, how do I know if association is good? The answer is very simple. If the association of that devotee whom you are spending time with causes you to become inspired in Krishna consciousness, makes you happy in Krishna consciousness, please take that association. You just hold on tightly to the lotus feet of that devotee. And the best way to do it is to accept the spiritual master, because he is the pure devotee. I want to end by remembering a very important verse of Prahlad Maharaj, because Nrsimhadev's appearance is coming. Prahlad Maharaj gave very beautiful prayers in the 7th canto, 9th chapter. But one prayer really stands out. It is the 7th canto, 9th chapter, 28th verse. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahe kupe kama bhikamam anuya prapatanta sangha Kridvarnasa surashina bhagavan rahitaha soham katham nu visaje tava britya sevam. The translation is very beautiful. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, this is the bad association. One after the other, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes. I was just following the general populace. But by your instruction, but your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. How could I leave his service? This is the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, one should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve Krishna directly. This is what happens when we don't want to become fixed up in devotional service. We actually think, I can serve Krishna because I'm qualified. But that already means we are proud. But if we say, I cannot serve Krishna until I serve a devotee who is dear to Krishna, a bona fide spiritual master, then we make very quick engagements. So Prahlad Maharaj never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. In fact, he says, Soham Katham, how can I give up the service of my spiritual master who has favored me in such a way that I am now able to see you face to face? So his prayer was, let me continue to engage in service of my spiritual master. That is the way to avoid bad association, and that is the culture of being trained in good association. Jai Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Nitai Gaura Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. I can take maybe one question before we end.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was a wonderful class, and thank you for a wonderful association for the last 90 minutes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, we were mentioning about offenses,
Yes.
offending people.
Yes.
Now, generally, we don't realize when we offend,
Yes.
right? Now, when I'm working with, say, in a congregation with other Prabhus and Matajis,
Yes.
so, I mean, Prabhu, there's a project going on, and I don't see the same vision. I mean, I don't share in the same vision, okay?
Sure.
Now, one way is I can just keep quiet,
Yes.
because I'm afraid of Vaishnava,
Yes.
or I can actually give feedback.
Yes.
Now, when does that feedback stop being a feedback and becomes Vaishnava?
Very good question. Very nice question. When does the feedback, supposing two devotees are working together, and you find that one devotee is on a certain railway track and you are on another railway track, but unfortunately you both have to be on the same train. So how are you going to do that? Because if your railway tracks are different and you want to be on the train cannot be on either railway track, which means the train can't move. That's what happens. Prabhupada has made it very clear in many letters, because many times devotees wrote to Prabhupada telling Prabhupada, I can't work with this devotee, so what do I do? And Prabhupada would write back to say, please adjust yourselves. Both of you should adjust your egos. So that is the starting point, Prabhu. In our heart, we should always be able to give and take. Sometimes we may have strong convictions on how devotional service should be put forward. That is good. But if we are working in harmony with another team member and several other devotees, we should be prepared to put our point across. But if it is not accepted, we should have the humility to accept that maybe that devotee has other reasons or more compelling reasons according to time, place and circumstances to move a project in this way. If you can have that consciousness and say, it doesn't matter where it's going, I'm the servant of the servant, I'm happy to flow with you, then that maturity in devotional service will ensure, Prabhu, you can work with anyone. As long as the project and the vision is bona fide, it's all right. But if for some reason you find you can't work with the devotee and you don't want to offend the devotee, the safest way is to approach the leader of the congregation. Reveal your mind to the leader in confidence. the leader should suggest, maybe you and the devotee can sit with us and we can discuss how to find a middle ground so that this process satisfies everyone, achieves the goal, and all devotees are happy to work with each other. So generally, Prabhupada wanted us to do that. In corporate terms, we call it consensus building. In consensus building, we agree to disagree, isn't it? We know at the start that we are not offending anyone, don't take it personally, but I don't like this idea for the following reasons. Stating it that way, Prabhu, with all your heart of sincerity, the devotee on the other side will understand that you're not offensive. But if you feel you cannot conquer your pride and that eventually you will criticize the devotee, then kindly excuse yourself from the project with the leader being informed, and we part ways as Vaishnavas. That's fine. There's always a service for everyone, and everyone in Kali Yuga is strong-minded. So we should learn to respect that strong-mindedness doesn't mean that we fight with each other. It just means that we learn to adjust with each other. Adjusting is a very difficult thing. That's why Prabhupada used the word very often. Adjust means you have to give something to take something, and I have to give something to take something. If you say, Prabhu, space is too tight, can you all adjust? What do we mean? It means we cannot sit fully like that. We may have to sit like this. But if we sit like this, he also can sit inside the car. So that adjustments actually in the overall vision helps everyone get into the car. But if I say I can only sit like this, then the car can only drive one person. So as leaders, we cannot take a narrow view. We should always take the helicopter view. One devotee wants one thing, another devotee wants one thing. How do we get both devotees to adjust themselves? We have to adjust. We have to adjust. I'll give you a very simple example. Right now, we can't get a single date for Rath Yatra in July. Can't get a single date in August. You only get a date in September. Now, we're also considering the fact that every year in July, we have 3-4 Rath Yatras, and so many people in public get confused which Rath Yatra to go for. And we thought if we break away from the pack and have a Rath Yatra at a different time and concentrate on that, we can get a lot of people coming in. And then some devotees feel, well, if we don't have Rath Yatra this year, then the Lord is not going to go out. That is also a point to be taken in consideration. Krishna must go out. He is giving darshan to everyone. So we have to consider that also. And then some devotees say Prabhupada only wanted that Rath Yatra should be during the July period closer to the actual Puri Yatra. Then there are devotees who have checked Prabhupada's writings and said Prabhupada allowed any time of the year to have Rath Yatra as long as we can preach and engage devotees. Now, how are we going to balance all this? Each devotee has to adjust, and we have to see what is the overriding principle. The overriding principle is somehow or other, when we are working together, are we remembering Krishna? If we are remembering only each other, then we are not remembering Krishna. But by working together, we can remember Krishna, then that is how we adjust each other. Prithu Maharaj got very angry with Indra in the 4th canto because he was stopping his 100th Rajasuya sacrifice. But finally, Prithu Maharaj and Indra embraced each other, and Prabhupada writes there, they adjusted their envy of each other. They adjusted their envy. And Prabhupada said, this is first class dealings of Vaishnavas. Always learn to adjust. If Prabhupada did not adjust according to time, place and circumstances, we would not be here today.